everybody, welcome to Sam's Doing Stuff. What am I doing today? Well, it could go really, really well, or it could go absolutely terrible. So I've got some issues with my trailer I would love to be able to fix. Number one, this gate is super heavy as it is, and I hate lifting it and putting it back down. So we're gonna try and fix that. Number two, it needs some reinforcement right here. This is starting to wave. This expanded metal is not strong. It's made for traction, not for support. So it needs more support, and it has support here and here in the main areas where tires would land. There's good support in the center too. But with all the machines that I'm using, it needs support all the way across, so we're gonna add it here. The last issue I'm having is that whenever I load the trailer, I need support in the back end because the heavy machines that I drive up on this thing tend to lift the back of the truck up in the air. So I'd like to weld on some jack stands. Now, if you're new to the channel, just want to let you know, I just received this MP200 Pro from YesWelder to show on my channel, and I set my shop up down here with all the stuff that I need to use this welder. I made my very first MIG weld. I've done some flux core before, but I made my very first MIG weld last video, and I was very encouraged by the results. I know it's not perfect, but it's like when you play golf. It's that one shot that gets you to keep coming back. I made a decent looking weld, way better than I've ever made before. So I think I'm ready to apply what I've learned and try and make these improvements on this trailer. The first thing we're gonna do is hopefully the easiest part. We're gonna add these Gorilla Lift Assist. Is that what they are? Two-sided trailer tailgate lift assist. Not a sponsored product. I bought these. And hey, might as well show you guys if you're thinking about putting something like this on your trailer. Here's what comes in the box. There it is. Looks like you've got a couple of these main components. This is the real power. Yeah, see the power. See, this is where the power is. And then all the mounting hardware, one for each one. There is definitely a left and a right side for this. So I'm gonna read the instructions and let's get started. Might as well do a little how-to on this in case somebody wants to install some of these. So first thing you wanna do is lay these out exactly as you see here. This end with the 45-degree angle and the two holes needs to be at least 1/4 inch away from the end of your trailer rail. Got square tubing here, So this hole has to be able to allow the bolt to go all the way through. And you can see if I put this too far forward, the bolt will go down into the square tubing. So for me, I need to make sure I've got room for the bolt and the nut and washer to go on the end. Here's a good look at exactly what I'm talking about. And these will just reach through here. That might be an issue for something I'm about to notice later. I need to be about right there. So I'm gonna line this hole up as best I can. And that is right about where my system needs to be set up. Once you have it precisely where you want it, mark your hole. I'm using a silver Sharpie. I'm marking right in the center of where I want that hole drilled. Now come to back here where the two pieces meet, remove the back piece, just slide it back out of the way, make sure you're not moving the front piece at all, don't bump it, and you're gonna mark exactly the same for this hole. And now, once again, very carefully slide this piece, the back piece, back until you just touch the front piece so you don't move it. Make sure you get this exactly where you want it. Now you can slide the front piece out of the way, and you're gonna mark those holes the exact same way you did for the front piece. Now I want you to notice here, I have a little bit of a conundrum. This back hole obviously comes over top of this fender. So I'm gonna have to drill down through the square tubing, both sides, and then drill through the fender. And the nut and bolt will protrude on the bottom. That's not a problem, but I don't think those bolts are long enough to make it through this fender. Now to drill through this steel, you're gonna wanna use high-speed steel bits, and they say you can use 1/2 inch, but you're gonna have some slop with 1/2 inch, it says that. You could get away with 3/8. I'm gonna give myself a little wiggle room and go with 7/16. So now you're just gonna line these up with your holes. And this is the one I'm most interested in. I think it might just barely fit. Boy, there might just be enough to get a washer and a nut on that. Maybe just a nut. I don't know, there's a little bit, a couple of threads. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. All right, we're gonna crank down on that later. They probably tell you to use a 1/2-inch hole because it gives you a little more play. But I got just enough, just enough. There we go. So if you are using square tubing and you don't have to deal with drilling through your fender, you really have plenty of thread to come through for each one of these. So now how are you gonna do this one? Well, we're gonna put the bolt through there, make sure it's seated the way it's supposed to be, and then we're going to very carefully drop that through there and hope it lines up. Oh, there it is. Boy, did I get lucky. Rather be lucky than good. I'm just giving it a little pull and twist to make sure it's seated in there. That head on that flat carriage bolt, I guess the carriage bolt, has to be seated in there just perfectly. This is going to be a real fun trick. You got to just put the washer on gently so I can get this started. Yeah. All right, now make sure you pull down and twist at the same time so that stays in there. Okay, I think we're good. That's not going anywhere. All right, compared to that last one, this one's going to be cake. You got tons of room. I spoke too soon. Get down through there. Come on. There we go. You can see here I left just enough room for that washer and that nut. I should still be able to get a wrench on it. I had to leave enough space between the square tube and where that nut and washer went. All right, they're all tightened down. Even that guy right there. I got enough threads on that just to get it tight. You can actually feel the end of the bolt right there. So I got plenty of threads on that. It shouldn't go anywhere. Next step, I want to feed this cable, and this all comes packaged inside these tubes. So feed your cable, just keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it, and it'll come out the other end. After you feed it all the way through, you want to get this end lined up by getting both of these springs facing the same direction. Here, pull the spring out, make it easier. Get both of these springs facing the same direction like that. See how they're kind of out of 45? And then just push them in there until they kind of align up with these holes. You're going to put your pin through. Make sure it goes through both sets of springs. Push it all the way in like that. Next, you're going to put a washer right over this, just like that. Then you're going to take your locking pin. Apparently, what you do here, let's see if I can do it right. You push this through like this. You grab it with your needle nose pliers and pull on it like that. Then you twist it, one under and the other. Yeah, there. That locks it in place. That's not coming off now. Now we're going to install the rollers. So the bottom roller, the cable goes over top of it in that groove, like that. Then we're going to put the pin through the center hole of the roller. Comes out the opposite side. Then on the other side of the roller, you're going to put two washers. Both washers go on the same side. And you've got the exact same type of little locking pin. You're going to put that end through like that. I wonder if I could just, yeah, I don't know if you really need needle nose. You could probably just do it with your fingers. And then you reverse those pins again. All right, do it again with the top roller. That's what the rollers should look like when you're finished. Cable goes between both of them, just like that. Now we're going to set the tension how much tension you want on your gate. You can feel right here, that's right at the edge of it. And they give you this little hook, this little S hook, so you can test it. We're gonna put the S hook on here, and then we're gonna hook it to the gate right about there. I can maybe go up one more, I don't know. You're just kind of getting a feel for exactly how much assistance you want. So let's unlock this trailer. Wow. That's too much tension. I think that's too much. At that point, I don't know, is it gonna pull? I don't wanna pull the whole thing. That actually lifts it off the ground a little bit. Yeah, I might wanna go a little less than that. But boy, oh yeah, it's still a little heavy. Having two is gonna be good for this trailer. So wherever you decide how much tension you want on this, that's where you're gonna mark for your next drill. You're gonna drill a 1/2 inch hole. I'm just gonna mark the center of that spot right there. That's where I want it. Now, I showed you in the earlier part of this video, it makes a lot more sense to use a step bit for these holes. This is a lot easier this way. All right, now it goes in this order. You take one washer, slide it onto this big bolt. Then you're gonna take the loop at the end of your cable, and you're gonna run it through there. Next, you're gonna take a nut and put it on the bolt, and you're gonna run it all the way down. Now it looks like this. See what I've got here? Next, you're gonna put another washer on, and put the whole thing through the hole. Finally, you're gonna put another washer on this side, and your last nut, and tighten it all the way down. That's tight. All right, we're gonna try it one more time just with this one on this side, see what it feels like. This is definitely, I mean, it's so light I can let go of it. It's very simple. You gotta actually push it down now. Oh, and that's not good. Yeah, this is an issue right here. You really, really want this to be closer to the end. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't put this closer to the end. I would have had to, I don't know what I would have had to do. Make a different hole. Yeah, that's gonna rub. There's plastic here, there's a plastic insert. So that's not terrible, but I mean, it's bad. It's not good. So now when the gate gets down to here, you gotta kind of push it down with your foot to get it the rest of the way, because that's so tight, that spring in there is so tight. I gotta get this all the way down by pushing on it. It certainly makes this easier though. Yeah, that's a lot easier. All right, let's put the other one on. Now with the Gorilla Lift on each side, this thing should weigh nothing. Oh, you actually pull it down. You gotta push it down. And then it jumps right back up. I think I got too much tension. You know what though? I'm gonna be adding more weight to this when I add the reinforcements, so let's not jump to any conclusions. This might be good. Whoa, holy shit. So when I say I'll be adding extra weight, I'm gonna be adding this. This is 1/4 inch by 2 by 2 by, well, I'm gonna cut it down less than 6 feet, obviously. But these are gonna be additional supports where I showed you on that gate. I could cut these with the plasma cutter. Yes, I could cut them with the plasma cutter, but I don't trust myself enough to make a decent cut. And this steel is not cheap. So I'm gonna be using the bandsaw. So the way this is gonna have to work, and you'll notice that all of this steel is L or V or whatever you want to, depends on how you hold it, right? Is it a V channel or is it an L channel? Anyway, I'm gonna have to notch this here because the way this fits in, you know, that has to sit up against that expanded metal. So I'll have to notch this out right here to make room for this part of the L channel. I just got to touch on how awesome this is. With the YesWelder 220 extension cord, I'm able to run this all the way over here, and with the Airzilla hose reel, pulled it over here. So right next to where I'm working in the barn, it's fantastic. All right, now I'm gonna try and plasma cut. Just gonna hog out what I can from that end, and if I have to grind it some to make it better, that's what I'll do. I look back at the footage, I'm just not holding it long enough to blow all the way through. That's my biggest issue. I don't know what to watch. Let's try it again. Hey, there we go. Actually cut it off. Well, I need a break after all that crap. Metalwork sucks sometimes. Gosh, trying to be precise. It's not like woodworking. Nope, it's not like woodworking. I am learning. Anyway, I got all my pieces to fit. Next, I gotta grind off all the paint where I'm gonna weld these on, but I'm taking a break right now. And then we'll get to, whatever's next. So the next step is to remove the paint where I'm going to weld these things on. I just want to say as a side note here, of course you guys know that how I feel about learning a new skill. I am 100% pro learning. If you can make yourself more self-sufficient in any way, shape, or form, do it. And learning a new skill is a great way to make that happen. On that note, I am learning not only to do this, but to respect it, because metalwork, I said earlier, is a whole lot different than woodwork. And not that woodworking is easier, it's just the material working with is it's easier to cut, it's easier to shape. Metal takes patience. It takes a long time, and metal work takes patience. Boy, am I learning that the hard way. Don't expect to get the whole project done in one day. So also, one last thing, thank you everyone for suggesting breathing, mask, whatever, filters. I didn't even think, I got the eyes, ears, gloves, all the PPE, except, yes, I shouldn't be breathing in metal chips and whatnot. So I'll be wearing these now. All of this stuff is an absolute must-have for removing paint. That's for sure. I think I did a pretty good job down to bare metal. Should be good to weld. I'm gonna go ahead while I've got the flap disc, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the paint where I'm gonna weld those jack stands on. Get that done, then I don't have to worry about it. All right, good, clean, shiny metal just about everywhere we need to weld, hopefully. I did overlap about an inch wider than what I need to weld. So hopefully that helps. Both the sides where the jack stands are also cleaned up. And I'm ready to weld. Yeah, ready to weld. Yeah, ready to weld means going through a checklist for sure. Not like before, just pull the trigger and see what happens. I make sure my negative is connected properly. The MP200 Pro gives you a little map on the front to show you what connections you need. That's fantastic. So I just double checked that. Got to double check and make sure my gas is turned on. You know, I'm in the menu, everything is set. Just got to make sure everything is set. So yes, I am ready to weld. Let's start putting a piece of metal on this thing. So I'm done with the supports on the back. They're all nicely lined up. Everything looks good as far as the structure is concerned. Now I'm going to show you my welds. Some of them I'm pretty proud of. Some of them are good. Some of them are definitely acceptable for my level. Some of them are really bad. And I had some issues. One of the things was every once in a while I get this like spattering effect. Like, it wasn't giving that crackly, crisp, you know. And when I got the good crackle, the weld turned out better. But when I got that, and I think it had to do with stick out. I think I had a little bit too much stick out. Some of my gaps in my metal, where I cut my metal, were bigger than others. Having to fill that in made for an uglier weld. But I think the main thing was trying to get the stick out just right, unless it's something else, unless there's something I need to adjust on the machine or on the gas. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know. Whenever it started to it just like, yeah, it started getting ugly fast. But there's enough there to be happy with. It's under the gate, so that's why I started back here. The next thing I want to weld on is I want to weld those, yeah, the jack stands, and those are going to be visible, very visible. So I really want those to look good. I cleaned the tip, got the slag off the tip, and just going to give it another shot. Sure that's tight. That's welded on. Make sure, yes, 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 it fits. So that'll go like that, rotate up and down. Perfect. Yes, let's do the other one just as good or better. Yeah, that one's not as good as the other one. That one's okay, but definitely could be better. In my humble opinion, as a beginner welder, that was a big job for a beginner welder. That was a lot of welding. Some of it was really good. Some of it was really not so good. What I'm most interested in right now is I want to see how much that extra weight on this gate affects it with those gorilla lift assists. See if this goes down. I still got to force it down. But it stays. There are three large springs along the bottom here for when it gets down to the bottom, and they are forcing it up as well. But you know, these are gonna weaken over time, these side springs. The more they get pulled, it's not a problem. It's just a little annoying to have to push it down, and I think it'll work itself out over time. I'm very happy with the supports now in the middle. You know, this expanded metal is still gonna bend some, but at least I don't have to worry about anything falling through it. It's definitely gonna be good. Oh, and it goes up. It goes up like, oh my goodness, that is wonderful. Yeah, and the trailer jacks, those are still cooling, so I'm not gonna put the trailer jacks on yet, but the trailer jacks work. The welds are strong. Like I said before, not all of them are perfect. None of them are perfect. Not all of them are above, you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I'm happy this is done. I have definitely increased the capability of this trailer because it has 10,000 pound capacity, but it doesn't have 10,000 pound capacity with, you know what I'm saying? It needed some help. It needed a lot of help, and it's done now. So I hope you guys like this one. I'm exhausted. It's really, of course I got to prime and paint, but you know what priming and painting looks like. I'll be doing that. It's definitely, feels good to have this all done. I won't have to worry about it when it comes time to deliver more firewood, when it comes time to load equipment on this trailer. Yeah, it was definitely worth it. Hope you liked it. Hit all the buttons, and I'll see you next time when I'm doing more stuff. Oh.